I went on a date with a contractor, he kinda ghosted, but I need more work done. What to do? Just some background info. I am a and have been divorced for over 2 years after being married for 16 plus years, been single since the divorce, so I am completely new to the dating thing. A few months ago, I had a tornado tear through my heavily wooded acreage. Many of my massive 75-100 plus foot trees are a snapped, twisted mess requiring heavy equipment to clean up and remove. I had trees on my house, shed, chicken coop and blocking my driveway, so my roofing company referred a tree service to do the insured work, removing trees from structures so roofs could be replaced. The tree guy that showed up was super cute, super sweet, flirty but an absolute gentleman. The remaining tree work isn't cheap, $40-50K and total and coming out of my pocket, so the plan was for him to come out every 2 to 3 months to do more cleanup as I could afford it. He seemed receptive to that, as I am basically a steady repeat customer and he can fill gaps in his schedule. After the second round of cleanup work, and more flirting later, I finally got up the nerve to ask him on a date. Yes, I confirmed he's single first. Was not looking to actively date anytime soon, but the universe basically delivered this guy to my doorstep, after me with a literal tornado, but I digress. We went to dinner 3 weeks ago and talked for hours, basically until the restaurant closed. I told him it was my treat since I asked him, but he refused to let me pay, if that info matters. I also made it clear that I wasn't looking for any discounts or free work. I thought the date went really well, I like him even more, he seemed like he was into me, told me he was glad I invited him out, etc. He texted me immediately after to make sure I got home safe. I sent him back a quick message confirming that I really enjoyed getting to know him, looking forward to talking more, and crickets. No response from him since. Okay, cool, I must have misread the situation and he's not interested in pursuing anything, no big deal. I mean, I'm bummed, I really like him but I get the hint. I haven't texted him again. Here's my dilemma, I need to keep chipping away at tree cleanup and was planning on having him come back out in 3 weeks to do the next round. I still have 2+ acres of dangerous widowmakers that need to get cut down. These trees are snapped, hanging 30 feet up and very dangerous to walk under. As a single woman living in the South, good contractors are really hard to come by. He came in cheaper than other quotes I got, he's been a gentleman, and his crew did an excellent job. Do I swallow the awkwardness and give him a shout for the next round of cleanup? Or does that make me look desperate? I really don't want to go through the process of trying to find a new tree contractor and paying more, and I certainly don't hold it against him that he's not interested in dating me. What should I do? Comment. Does he have an office you could call to schedule rather than reaching out to him personally? That way he knows it's a real job and not a relationship thing. As a barely survivor of trees from hurricanes in the South, it's harder to find a good tree guy than a date. Good luck and stay safe. I'm glad you're safe. Just reach out professionally, and if he can't handle that, move on. Don't beg him to take $1,000s of your money. I promise there are others out there. If you can accept that he's not interested in dating you, then hire him if you want. Story 2. My husband of 3 years grabbed my face during an argument. I never thought I had to write a post like this. I hope any of you can help me. English is not my first language BTW, so sorry for the grammar. I've been with my husband for 3 years now and known him for 8 years. We were having an argument. He was tired and didn't want to hear anything from me. He felt like I was nagging him after a long day. Which sure I might have, but I didn't really realize that he was this fed up and not having it, so him getting visibly angry made me surprised. I asked him, "But what's wrong? I want to fix this," and he kept saying, "Stop talking, I'm tired." We went a bit back and forth until I turned around and went quiet. He was telling me to. I started doing other things. That's when he lost it. He went out of the room, started banging on the doors, very heated up, and then he grabbed my mouth/face. While telling me to keep my mouth shut over and over again. It wasn't physically painful but so humiliating. I had to push him away for him to stop. We have had similar arguments before. Like I'll say 5 to 6 times over the course of 3 years. Same topic, when he's had enough it's enough. Not a single word can be said by me. I suppose the smart thing is to do so, but I don't keep talking with malignant intent. I'm confused and want to communicate. I don't go on a rant, I just ask questions and try to hold the convo. First time he started throwing things around him, but never at me. I told him how that affects me and he seemed to understand. The next time it got to him holding my arms tightly and telling me stop. I still made it clear afterwards that it upsets me so much to be physically handled like that. Again he seemed to understand. Today this happened. All I keep thinking what could be the next? It seems to get progressively worse. I also want to add that he grew up in a home with domestic violence. His mother is an amazing woman who left for the sake of her son. Whenever we talk about it he always says how much he resented that part of his dad and how his dad was never violent with him as a child. I guess this history always scared me but he never showed me any signs until recently. Besides the 3 incidents I mentioned we've had a great relationship. I always felt protected, loved, and supported. Whenever I need help he's there, even when I act at my worst he doesn't snap like he did now. I'm so confused. When we come home from long days and see each other our hearts feel at ease. I've always seen him as my partner in life. But now I have a strong urge and feelings to leave this marriage. I feel like what happened is unacceptable. I know I wasn't hit or slapped so maybe I'm being dramatic but right now I don't think I can look at him the same again. A huge trust has been broken. What should be the next step here? Comment. This will only continue to escalate. I divorced a man I had been with over a decade who grew up in a similar home with similar sentiment towards his father. After the 3rd time he did something like that to me I left, and it was the best decision I've ever made. Ironically, I was also 27 at the time. Anyone who would humiliate you or make you feel unsafe is not worth being your trusted life partner, it's a complete lack of respect. Life is short but it's also long. You deserve better. This is a difficult one. Unfortunately, you aren't completely blameless here. Your husband makes it clear he doesn't want to talk, and you ignore that. You prioritize what you want, to communicate and to ask questions to try and hold the convo, over what he is telling you he needs, for you to leave him alone and stop talking. That's not okay. You should go to therapy to address why you think it is okay to continue to try to force a conversation with someone who has made it clear that they do not want to have it. Having said all of that, one of the most reliable indicators for one spouse ending the life of their partner is choking them. The second that happens, the risk factor dramatically increases. I'm not sure how that translates to grabbing their face and covering their mouth. The underlying intent is essentially the same. For the simple fact that in a fit of anger he grabbed your face and covered your mouth, I think it would be best for you to reevaluate this relationship. Get yourself into therapy ASAP. Violence is never the answer. Never. Throwing things. Grabbing/holding your arms. Grabbing your face. Yelling while storming away and slamming doors. Should you have listened to his boundaries and actually stopped talking? Yes. But his response is acting violently and that is never the answer. His reactions have escalated. And they will continue to do so. You both need therapy. And you two need to live separately, for your own safety and peace of mind. You need to decide if you want to leave the marriage for your own sake or safety or try to fix this. If you want to try and fix this will only work if he is, when calm, willing to admit that what he did was horrendous and wrong and is willing to go to counseling together with you and individually to work on his anger issues. That said, while he was the aggressor here, it is very clear that you are also not acting in an okay way. You completely overstepped his boundary again and again. He told you to stop talking several times and you ignored his no every single time. That doesn't mean that you shouldn't bring issues up, but there is a time and place for these things, and when someone is tired, that time is not good. Full stop. No means no. This no should be followed up by you two agreeing when a good time would be to talk about what's bothering you. Let's talk on Saturday when we both have the day off. I will be home earlier on Wednesday, we can talk then, but unless you learn to respect your partner's boundaries, this relationship is also toxic from your side. So there is only a chance this will work out if both of you agree to need therapy individually to explore why you are treating each other like that and how to instead regulate your emotions, and then as a couple to work on your communication and respect in general. If even one of you two says it's not that bad, I have never hit her, I have no ill intent when I bother him so it should be fine, or it was only 5 to 6 times in 3 years, then there is no hope here. Just like there is no hope if the trust is broken, which would be understandable. Without respect and trust, no relationship can function. And it seems like the respect was largely already gone and trust should have also been gone the first time something physical happened. As such, the best thing to do is likely to get yourself to safety. Don't be alone with him when you tell him you want to get divorced, get out of the marriage, but then also go to therapy to get over the assault, but also work on your issues when it comes to accepting a no. Story 3. Love triangle between my best friend and his ex/best friend. A few months ago, while I was in Chicago, my best friend Dan introduced me to his female best friend, Tina. Dan is like a brother to me. He just mentioned Tina as his best friend. I've since moved to Washington for school and work, but Dan and Tina are still in Chicago. Tina slid into my DMs, we hit it off and started talking in April. First, I asked her if she and Dan had any history and she said no. Things escalated, and we began flirting. We really got to know each other better and we made a sort of promise that when I returned to Chicago, we'd explore the possibility and decide on a serious relationship, maybe even marriage in future. I was thinking of coming back during the summer or Christmas. Now, here's where things get messy. Tina was telling Dan about us and he felt betrayed that I hadn't told him, and that this was going on between two of his best friends whom he introduced to each other. To be honest, I didn't think it was necessary to inform him at this stage, especially out of respect for privacy. I assumed it was something we'd naturally bring up eventually at the right time. After Dan expressed his feelings, I learned from him and Tina that they had actually dated in the past. I was upset because if I had known they had a history, I would have reconsidered getting involved with Tina. I felt that Dan should have mentioned this at some point, though he argues that he was not obliged to tell me. After all this was revealed though, Dan organized a meeting with the three of us to clarify a couple of things. He assured me that Tina was interested in me and that I shouldn't let their past affect my decision. He also revealed that after they broke up, they kept making out but they agreed to stop when it seemed like Tina and I were getting serious, but apparently, he said Tina was still making advances at him, which he resisted, but Tina argued that he initiated some of them. I asked Dan whether he has feelings for Tina and he said that he's not sure but he might have feelings for her, but he insisted that this shouldn't stop me from pursuing something with her. I was feeling quite conflicted. On one hand, I liked Tina a lot, and there was potential for something great. On the other hand, I felt like I was thrown into the middle of something I didn't fully understand. I needed time to think. BTW, my plan to return to Chicago during the summer wasn't so sure anymore for different reasons. After a while, Tina confessed that she and Dan had actually made out a couple of times while all this was going on. She said it was just casual, and she couldn't logically refuse him because we weren't actually dating. The fact that Dan and Tina continued their physical relationship while knowing about, and even discussing my interest in Tina doesn't sit well with me. I told Tina about this and ended everything romantic with her. Now I'm talking with Dan and trying to explain to him that I don't appreciate that I wasn't told about their history when I asked. I don't appreciate that they continued making out during all this. I don't even believe it was always casual, and just how messy the whole situation was, but he argues that he did nothing wrong because he says he was not obliged to tell me that they dated in the past. I should have told him of when Tina and I started flirting with each other because we met each other through him. I didn't, so it's unfair to expect him to tell me that they were making out. I asked only Tina about their past but didn't ask him, so he didn't tell me. They'd just been making out casually, as they'd been doing even after they broke up, so there was no reason to stop, especially at the point when it seemed unclear whether I'd be returning in the summer. What do you think?